Good morning and welcome to our devotion for today. We have been following through a discussion or devotion around the millennium, what happens to the wicked when Jesus comes, the wicked that are dead and those that will be alive. That's what we have discussed. The Revelation 20 verse 5, we also discussed about the righteous who are dead and the righteous will be living. What happens to them when Jesus comes? Revelation 20 verse 4 gave us more information. And we also studied and found out based on 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and Revelation 20 verse 12, that the saints or the righteous, both those that were dead and those that will be found living, after they are translated and taken up to heaven, they spend 1,000 years, and during that period, there is a judgment, a review judgment that happens. So when we look at the number of activities that happen during the period of the 1,000 years after Jesus' second coming, there's a lot of activity that will be happening. We were not left without any information. The Bible gave us enough information to even know what will happen to our honeymoon or our vacation when we go to heaven for 1,000 years, just as Jesus promised in the book of John that let not your hearts be troubled. You believe in God and believe also in me. And then he said he was going to prepare a place to come take us so that we may be where he is. In Revelation 21 verse 2, Christ and the saints, we are told what happens now. This is what we are looking at today. What happens at the end of the millennium? The millennium has come to an end. Revelation 21 verse 2 tells us that Christ and the saints descend to earth with the new Jerusalem. This is the gift of the saved. The new Jerusalem that is prepared as a bride, prepared for the groom. They descend in this beautiful new city. In Revelation 20 verse 5, we are told all the wicked are raised at this time. This is the second resurrection. If you remember when we discussed in the previous devotion, the first resurrection was called the first. It is for the righteous, which happens at the time when Jesus comes the second time. And then they are taken with Jesus to heaven. Then the wicked who are not, rather those who are not saved, when Jesus comes the second time, they remain in their graves. And those who are alive, they die because of the brightness of Jesus. And so we've got those who were alive and those who were dead. They are now all dead when Jesus vacates or leaves this earth with the saved. So 1,000 years, there is no human being who is alive on earth. And when Jesus comes, I would call it the third time. Now, coming with the new Jerusalem that descends, coming to the earth. Revelation 20 verse 5 tells us that all the wicked are raised at this time. This is the second resurrection. Revelation 20 verse 7 to 8, we are told that Satan is loosed up. Remember, in our other discussion, we learned that the devil will be bound in the bottomless pit, will be chained in the bottomless pit, which is this earth. He will not have no one to tempt. Therefore, figuratively speaking, he has no work to do. He is bound. He is imprisoned. And now the earth is filled with the wicked people. When the devil is loosened, it's filled with the wicked people. Satan is back in the business of deceiving. So for a short while, we are told, according to the book of Revelation, that he is once again back to his business of deceiving. He deceives all those that are resurrected in the second resurrection. Verse 9 of Revelation, the deceived people, these are the wicked who have just been resurrected, attack the new Jerusalem. They gird themselves and attack the new Jerusalem. They see the new Jerusalem as an invasion into their space, into the earth. And so they start to attack the new Jerusalem. But as they do so, Revelation 20 verse 9 tells us that fire comes down upon them and destroys them. This is the second death. They would have died before, but they suffer again the second death. Revelation 20 verse 14, of which whoever partakes in this second death has no chance to resurrect again. This is final. This is eternal death. The fire that was prepared for the devil and his angels. This is the fire that will consume both sin and sinners and the devil and his angels. This is going to be the end of sin and sinners. Revelation 21 verse 1 then tells us that the earth is made new. Those who are saved witness a miracle of God recreating the earth again, just as he spoke things into existence. So when we look at what happened in a summary form, what happens in the 1,000 years or before and until after, we looked at the fact that at the beginning of the 1,000 years, there is the second coming of Jesus Christ. And then secondly, there is a resurrection of the righteous that are dead. And then thirdly, the wicked dead are not raised, but the wicked living, they die. Number 3. Number 4, the righteous go to heaven, both those who were dead and those who were alive. They are caught up into the air to meet the Lord, and they go to heaven for 1,000 years. And then number 5, Satan is bound in this bottomless pit, in this earth. He is alone with no one to tempt. He is imprisoned, if you want to put it in that way. Then what happens within the 1,000 years? Again, in summary, 3 things is all the wicked remain dead on earth. No life, except the devil and his angels. Number 2, Satan remains bound on this earth. And number 3, the righteous in heaven are judging the angels. They are judging all those that are not saved in a review judgment. At the moment, we also discovered in our previous devotions that there is an investigative judgment which started in 1844 that proceeds and goes on until the second coming of Jesus. When Jesus Christ has finished that judgment, that is when he comes the second time. But then the righteous saved have the opportunity during the 1,000 years to go. We are told the books are opened again during that 1,000 years. The book of life is opened. There is a review judgment where we can be able to question and have answers to each and every case. We will understand at that moment why perhaps our loved ones who are not saved, why they are not saved, because we will be participating in this review judgment. As we read in the previous lessons, we are told the thrones were set up and the righteous sat on those thrones with Jesus, and they were judging the angels. Paul says, don't you know that you are going to judge the angels? But we're talking here of the angels, which is the devil and his angels, not the saved angels, because, those who never fell, because they need no judgment. And then what happens at the end of the 1,000 years? We identified a few things, and that is, number 1, Christ and the righteous descend with the new Jerusalem. Number 1. Number 2, the wicked dead are raised. And number 3, Satan is loosed up again, is unbound. Number 4, the wicked attack the new Jerusalem that comes with the righteous and Jesus Christ. And number 5, fire destroys the wicked that are attempting to attack the city of God, the new Jerusalem. And lastly, the earth is made new. Wow. This is beautiful news, friends, and I look forward to this period, seeing it happen as Christ has given us a blueprint of what is going to happen. You have a choice to make, either to have a part in the first resurrection or spend the 1,000 years spend 1,000 years in heaven and have the new Jerusalem and the new earth as your inheritance, or to have secondly, the other option is to have a part in the second resurrection. And then you are outside of the city, the New Jerusalem, and eventually you are destroyed by fire. By a fire that was not prepared for you, but a fire that was prepared for the devil and his angels. The Bible is clear, there is a fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Friends, this is not preaching about fire and brimstone gospel here. That instills fear. These are facts as given in the word of God. We know that God is love, God is grace, but even then, there is a period that God, the Bible tells us, his grace will come to an end, or it will come to an end when he needs to execute judgment. Even the judgment, it still becomes part of his grace, because if we were to let ourselves continue living the wicked way we live, we will ultimately destroy ourselves. So it is in grace that he brings an end, sin and sinners. So when I say his grace comes to an end, I mean there is a phase where he has to bring an end, the pain, the misery, the stress, the difficulty, the sufferings that have been going on in this world for a long time. Friends, when judgment comes, judgment means good news. When judgment comes and you know your case is presented by the best lawyer ever available, who is both the judge and the lawyer, this is Jesus Christ. How can you lose such a case? There is no way. So I choose by God's grace that if I am to be part of the resurrection, I want to be in the first resurrection. And I want to be inside that city. And I want to be in the one who will inherit the earth made new. Make your choice whilst time is there, and have a wonderful day.